start my agile journey? Yes, that is the question that we would be answering in today's video. Whenever we talk about or think about agile, the very first thing that comes to our mind is the IT or the software industry as we know it. Yes, this is the industry which was the pioneer in adopting the agile ways of working, but does not mean that today's date they are the only ones reaping benefits out of this industry. Be it construction, automobile, space research, textiles, and even logistics, and many more such industries are reaping benefits of agile ways of working. Agile not only helps you to extend businesses worldwide by maximizing business value to your customers, it also helps you to get more done in lesser amount of time. All this and much more we will be talking about in this video. I welcome all of you on board Let's Go Agile, and I am Sanjit Bhattacharya, your Agile learning partner. Well, we have a term here called VUCA. Now, what is this VUCA anyways? VUCA is the term where the roots of Agile lie. Yes, friends, let us check out what is VUCA anyways. VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Yes, these are the four terms that make up the term VUCA. Project to be successful under Agile needs to qualify all conditions in VUCA. Well, if they don't, they still are good for Agile, which means if the uncertainty or complexity is less on your project and the requirements are not that ambiguous, it does not mean your project will not succeed under Agile. Consider Agile to be a large truck which has compartments meant for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous things. If you have all of them on your project, fantastic, Agile will work for you. If you don't have some of them on your project, no worries. If you have some of them partially, that is a little complex but not as complex, so will Agile still work? Yes, of course. Having said this, Agile will work no matter what conditions of VUCA your project has. So, what do we focus on in this video? Obviously, we will focus on introduction to Agile, and then we will also talk about the how and what of starting your Agile learning journey. Where did all of this begin from? Where did this start? Yes, all of this started from the Waterfall project management. Now, what is Waterfall project management? Let us see. So what is this waterfall model? Well, this waterfall model is nothing but this waterfall which is representing a project. Where in a waterfall, water flows from top to down, and that is how the series or the events or the phases they flow in a project from top to down. The waterfall signifies the various phases of a project, starting from the plan, the analyze phase, the design phase, the implement phase, the testing phase, the integration, and finally the maintenance phase. Now, if I ask you, is it possible to go back from maintain phase to testing phase or design phase? No, it is not. And that is how the analogy completes with the waterfall, where water does not flow upwards. It just flows from top to down, and hence this model is known as the waterfall model of management. Now, in waterfall model, it says you have to plan, you have to analyze, then design, then implement and do stuff. Well, wait a minute. Does that not make sense? Is it not how these things should be done always? Right? So we have to understand why is everyone going crazy about Agile. Waterfall looks good to me. Why is everyone switching to Agile or adopting the Agile ways of working? Let's check it out. All right, so let's find out that why Agile? Why do we at all need Agile? For this, let us consider that we are playing the game of football or soccer, as you may say. So you would need a goal post, which is here. And what else? Oh, obviously you will need a ground. So you have a ground. So let's start. Wait a minute. I also need a football. Yeah. So here is your football. Now you want to kick this ball inside this goalpost, and you want to do this every time so that you score every time. Now remember, our target is to score every time. But to be able to score every time, there are certain assumptions that we are making. Let us see that what are those assumptions. The first assumption is that the wind is steady. Without the wind being steady, it is not possible for you to kick the ball right into the goal post every time. Now, the second assumption is that the ground is level. If the ground was not level, then again it was not possible for you to be able to kick the ball right into the goal post every time. The last assumption that we are making is that the goalpost does not move from its place, because if the goalpost did move, you will never be able to score like that. Well, let us do one thing. Let us consider this to be the case 1. Okay, yes, here it is. So this is the case 1. Now, let us consider a case 2. This case 2 is that you have a ball in hand, you want to kick it, and obviously you want to score every time, but there are some conditions this time. The conditions are, first thing, oh, where did this go? The goal post keeps changing its position. Wow, that's the first condition. The goal post keeps changing its position. Oh, the wind is not steady. The wind keeps on blowing here and there. So wherever you kick, you're not sure where your ball would land. And what else do we have? Oh my God, the ground is not level. So if the goal post keeps changing positions, the wind is not steady, and the ground is not level, my friends, it is very, very difficult for you to score every time. I am not sure if that would allow you to score every time. Okay, so what did we just witness? We just witnessed VUCA. Yes, and how was that? The goalpost position was uncertain and ambiguous. The ground was complex to play on, and the wind was very volatile. So the point here is that when the conditions do not qualify VUCA, Waterfall qualifies. When the conditions do not qualify VUCA, Waterfall qualifies. And when the conditions do qualify VUCA, Waterfall disqualifies. Now, my friends, do not get this wrong. When I say Waterfall disqualifies, it does not mean that when the conditions are similar to what we talked about in VUCA, Waterfall will not work. Waterfall will work, but the desired result, the desired business value may not be delivered every time. So, having said so much about all of this, what is the solution? The solution is Agile. Now, let us see how Agile can help us in that football example that we were talking about earlier. Consider the case 2 that we had at hand once again. And in this case 2, you have this ground of yours, your ball, and you know that you want to score every time. And when you want to score every time, you start kicking the ball. You kick it in a small distance and just put it somewhere at a new position on the ground, but suddenly wind starts blowing and you also see that the goalpost has moved its position. Now what you do is, since it's a VUCA, so the goalpost will keep changing position, you push the ball towards the goalpost one more time and it reaches its new position. All of a sudden, you want to kick it towards the goalpost and another strong wind blows and it takes your ball to another new position. So you are now at a different position from where you want it to be. As you were about to kick it for one final time into the goalpost, you realized that the goalpost has again changed its position. You kicked it hard this time, and in this final attempt, you put it absolutely into the goalpost and scored. What did we do here? Well, now this is very, very interesting. We pushed the ball into its target in small repetitions, which you may also call iterations. We kept adapting to changing environment. Also, we re-strategized our plan of action. In short, put together, what we were doing was agile. Working in iteration, adapting to changes and re-strategizing, retrospecting ourselves is what agile is all about. Okay, so what is the difference between waterfall and agile? Actually, when we talk about waterfall, or for that matter any project, we talk about all of these four parameters: scope, time, budget, and quality. In waterfall, we assume that all these are fixed and locked upon on the start of project. But consider a practical scenario or from your past experience. How many times does this actually happen? I guess all of this is very, very volatile. So none of this is ever fixed, or at least not fixed to an extent, which results in a sad customer. All right. So this is how our customer looks like. In waterfall, the biggest problem is that the customer collaboration is missing. Our processes are very rigid towards the changes. It's not that we do not want changes, we do not do changes, we do changes, but to incorporate any changes, the process is very lengthy, the process is very rigid. Next is working product, or even a small part of it is not visible to the customer until late in the testing phase. Now, when the product is late in the testing phase, hardly any changes can be incorporated in that product. So the customer is not very happy with it. Product may not be any more needed when it has been delivered. But how is that possible? See, we are working in a very volatile world. When a product is delivered, when a product is worked upon, sometimes it happens that the competition is also working on a similar kind of product. Now, when we are about to launch our product, say in a week or 15 days from now, and suddenly the competition comes up with something which is even better than what we have been doing, it is a big problem, let me tell you that. Because now whatever efforts you have made towards your product are no more viable, because that product is no more needed by anybody in the market. No user wants to use it. Now, if you want to change or add things to it, you have to undergo the entire process of complete planning, doing everything from the scratch. Had you taken feedback in between of the development and taken feedback from the customer as well as from the market conditions, you would have realized that the product needs to be tweaked a little bit here and there to accommodate the changes from the market so that it does not become redundant or its value does not get decreased. Whereas if we talk about in Agile, customer collaboration is paramount. At every step, we want to be hand in hand with the customer in terms of getting feedback, in terms of collaboration. Adapting to change is the key. We will talk more about it when we get into the Agile Manifesto chapter. But for now, let's understand that adapting to changing requirements is a key in Agile. Iterative development leads to customer being able to see a part of working product even before the final launch. We work in small iterations. You remember the way we were kicking the ball little by little, and finally into the goalpost? That is exactly how we work in Agile. We kick the ball or develop the product little by little, one position to another. We keep on building on and adding on features to the product. And at every stage when we are adding a new thing, the customer is involved. The customer is able to give his valuable feedback there. We are also able to take into account the changing market conditions, the changing end user requirements. So every small working part of a product before the final launch is visible to the customer. The customer gets to choose when to stop the development if he's happy with an intermediate product. Now we have a concept of MVP, minimum viable product, where minimum required features are added to make the product marketable. Well, we will not get into details of that. Maybe we will cover it up in another chapter. But for now, let us understand that in Agile, if a customer at any point of time thinks that the product is good enough and there is no more further features that are required, and this is how he wants to launch it into the market, he might as well do that. So the customer may even terminate a project in between, which will be a cost saving for that customer if we are working in the Agile way. So here we have the differences between the waterfall and Agile. And if I talk about that, the first difference is that the entire SDLC or the software development life cycle is done in one shot in waterfall. We do planning, analyze, design, implement, test, integrate, and maintain everything, but we do it only once. Everything follows in series, one after the other, the way things move in a waterfall. Whereas in Agile, we do a incremental delivery process or incremental delivery type of work, where we make this development cycle in small iterations, and development cycles are done at every stage. Every small phase does planning, analyzing, design, then again all the steps are repeated, then again and again and so on for each and every iteration, or better known as sprint in the language of Agile. Next thing is in waterfall, as we already discussed, we have one big bang release, one big package delivered to the customer. Hey, here is your product. Now the customer looks at the product and thinks, my God, this is not what I wanted. I wanted this thing to be like that, that thing to be like this, but he hardly has any say right now because the product is ready. He could not give his feedback during the development of the product because he was not involved in every step, because they were doing it in the waterfall model. Now, whereas in Agile, you will have small increments being delivered to you at every step, one after the other, which will ensure that the customer is involved at every step. Now you see you have small packets coming together, and finally the final product is delivered to the customer, and which results in a happy customer. Thus, at the end, the customer may not be very happy in Waterfall. Whereas if this is what is followed in Agile, the customer will be involved, he will collaborate, and will be happy at all the stages. Well, in Agile, the most important thing to remember is that Agile Manifesto forms the core of all frameworks within Agile. Agile Manifesto deserves a completely dedicated video to it, which I will be preparing very soon for all of you and will be sharing it with all of you. For now, please remember that the core of all frameworks within Agile is the Agile Manifesto. It's even good to say it's the skeleton of the entire Agile body. Frequent feedback loops and retrospection. How does frequent feedback loop and retrospection make it easy to adapt? Yes, because when we are taking frequent feedbacks from the customer, we are understanding the changing requirements. And not only that, it also says retrospection, which means that we are looking at our own ways of working and basis the changing requirements in the industry, the changing requirements of the customer, the market requirements and the end user needs. We are adjusting our ways of working. We are adopting ourselves to the changing requirements. The next is iterative development. As we have already discussed, we need not elaborate it anymore. And the last and most important is the value delivery to customer is the focus. It's not just that getting the requirements which are listed in the business requirements documentation or BRD, delivering it to the customer. Hey man, here is your product. We are done. Give us our paycheck. No, it does not work like that. It is the value, whatever we deliver. Does it have any value right now to the customer is what matters the most in Agile. Now let us see what Agile is. Agile is a mindset. Yes, my friends, it is nothing but a mindset. And what mindset are we talking about anyways? It is a mindset to be transparent. Your work, whatever we do, should be visible to everybody. There is no hiding, there is no covering up, there is no blame gaming or finger pointing that happens in Agile teams. Second is the mindset to accept frequent feedbacks. Now this feedbacks is not only from the market or the customer, it is within the teams as well, which helps in a retrospection or adjusting ourselves to the changing requirements as we discussed a little while ago. Next is the mindset to adapt. Whenever we are talking about changing requirements, unless we change, we inculcate those changes and adapt ourselves to fall in line with those changes, to actually execute those changes, it is not making any sense. So mindset to adapt is something which is required. And if you carefully look at this entire package of mindset that we are talking about, the biggest and the most important thing is to have a mindset to change. If you are not ready to give away or give up, I would say, if you are not ready to give up your old ways of working, then definitely a new way of working or a new mindset, or I dare say Agile, is not going to work for you. Well, now that we have talked about what Agile is, I thought it would be only justified if I let you know that what Agile is not. So, what Agile is not? Agile, first of all, is not a specific software development process. Agile is not a framework. Yes, Agile may have a lot of frameworks within itself, but Agile in itself is not a framework. Agile is not a set of instructions. Yes, Agile is a mindset. Agile is a way of working. Agile is not at all a set of instructions. And finally, it is not a way to escape quality. Sometimes we take shortcuts in the name of Agile, blame it on Agile, and we try to escape delivering a quality product because we are working in quick iterations and we want to deliver things quickly, as we said, as discussed in the initial things, but that does never mean that we can compromise on quality. So here we are with that same question, where to start my journey. First thing, friends, please go through this video once again, and at this time pause at places which you think is relevant, important, or there's something new for you. You may also want to take down some notes. I'm sure you will have a lot of questions and I will be more than happy to help you answer those questions. Please do put your questions in the comments box below. You may also want to write to me directly on my email, which I will be putting in the description box. Do watch the upcoming video on Agile Manifesto, which is very crucial not only for beginners but for everybody who is getting started in the Agile journey or is already here. Please do watch that Agile Manifesto video where I have attempted to make the language very easy to understand, and it will be a very good starting point for you. Please do share your views and comments in the comments box below or write to me directly. You may also want to consider subscribing the channel if you found the content relevant. Till we meet again, stay happy, stay healthy, and together, let's go Agile.